Welcome back to the Centre Half Bench podcast. I hope you've been enjoying the recent podcast. It's been a bit of a break due to the footy frenzy ending, but new footy frenzy going to get straight back into it. Serious end of the season. Games are getting a lot more important. There's been some exciting games, some pretty shit games, but anyway, let's rip into it.
I think we're going to start off with a new segment, and it's going to be called Big Stories of the Week, so it's not really something massive, but it's just good to keep up with the biggest storylines.
We just get a couple of points and we just talk about them that have been big stories in the AFL over the past week.
The biggest one this season, besides from going on hold from the AFL, is the AFL redundancy.
Yeah, for sure, because obviously because of the loss of money, loss of income, loss of crowds, giving income and all that, the AFL's had to make...
Coaches are losing their job. And you can't go into contract extensions. It's really hard to do that because obviously there's a very, very low cap limit on teams, and we're not even sure when we're allowed to sign players again. Collingwood, we've obviously players like Darcy Moore, Jordan Gowie, Josh Dacos. Those players are coming up, but there's many other players in the league that are going out of contract for your favourite teams now.
Yeah, for sure. And Tom Lynch, man, so he's been given a couple of warnings, got sent straight to tribunal for an offence that probably shouldn't have been to tribunal, but because of his bad record, he got sent there.
He's done it. In round 10 against Richmond, he did it, where he pushed the guy in the head into the ground. He should have copped a week for that. Round 12, he did it against I've forgotten his name, but he's I don't know, but he's punched some guy in the balls or the stomach. He got punched some guy in the stomach. Only got a fine for that. This week, probably the weakest one out of all of them. But he's gone and punched Michael Hurley in the chest and neck area, which isn't the prettiest on his case, but he's lucky he got saved again.
Yeah, he plays on the edge, which can go either very well for you or very bad.
Definitely, and he's been very lucky.
And to Collingwood, our boy Steele Sidebottom, obviously off to Melbourne to have the birth of his baby with his partner Alicia. He has to the baby has to be delivered before the 1st of August or he can't play again for the rest of the season.
1st of September, not August. We're in August
1st
now.
1st of September, yep.
Yeah, but definitely. As a Pies fan, we're hoping that baby comes out, and we hope it's a boy. Obviously, father-son rule.
I guess there is father-daughter, but...
There is father-daughter, but... Yeah. Anyway, we hope him all the best. But let's crack into the season review.
Okay, first game, Suns v Blues. Up in Darwin, first game in Darwin for a long time. Suns came out. We were expecting a good game, but we didn't get that. The Blues just controlled the game.
1 goal for to Carlton to 0 goals, 0 points to the Suns in the first quarter. That's dog shit. That's terrible.
They got held scoreless.
Yeah.
And then, the Suns are a young team, and we expected them to drop off, but not as much as they have.
Yeah, they're dropping off massively. For a team that was in finals contention at the start of the year, they're now in 14th. But honestly, nothing wrong with that. Go get another good pick if you can. Who do they have this week? North Melbourne, where you should win that, but it'll definitely be a tight contest.
And you mentioned getting a good pick. The opposite of that, Mark Murphy. He's old, he's one of the veterans for Carlton, and he's come out and still getting 28 touches and helping them win.
Yeah, definitely, which is, you always like to see that on a veteran's point of view, showing the young players what to do and teaching them the ropes and all that. But Eddie Betts played a decent game up in Darwin.
Yeah, after the game, him and Rankin swapped jumpers.
I saw that. That's a really good It's a really good gesture on both players.
Yeah, and Eddie said Rankin's going to be a star of the future. Obviously, it's huge respect for the young bloke, but
yeah. He's a very exciting player. He's a very exciting player, which is definitely what you like to see, especially for him being. I think he was the second pick in the draft or the third. I know he was a top 3 pick in that same Welsh draft.
yeah, he was top 3, maybe top 5, but Dogs v Demons.
Doggies Demons. The Demons let us down again after pumping us last week, pumping the Pies last week. And then getting beaten by 28 points. Doesn't look pretty on them.
Yeah, they get the fans' hopes up and then just shatter them.
They do. But definitely a bright light in that Demons team is Christian Petrarca, he's just an animal. He just knows what to do with the footy. He knows how to get it. He knows what to do when he's got it. He just knows everything to basically do with the footy. And you can chuck him up half forward, he'll go kick you some goals. You can chuck him in the middle, he'll go get you 25 plus touches a night.
Yeah, and with that win, the Dogs are really starting to push for the 8. Obviously, there's a 1 game difference, I think, between Melbourne and Dogs, and obviously Dogs are in the 8 at the moment.
Melbourne have that game in hand against Essendon.
Yep.
Which is really good for them, definitely, I think.
Yeah.
But and the Dogs obviously half a game behind the Pies in 8, but
yeah.
And
then the Power, first on the ladder, came against the Hawks, who are down the bottom and pretty much bombing out. They only just won.
Yeah, they're starting to drop off a bit. Port Adelaide, I reckon. I think they're starting to drop off a bit, and it's starting to show, especially because
once again the young side.
Yeah, young side, but they do have those veterans like Travis Boak, who racked up 34 touches.
Yeah, and then they also have the young players like Zach Butters. Obviously, it's Dersma and Connor Rosie. Dersma and Rosie weren't playing. Butters was the only one, and he ended up kicking the ceiling goal, just playing an all-round game. Just like, once again, the young talent that actually might bring them down come September. Yeah.
And obviously, like in September, or not, it's going to be October this year, but for finals time, I think that young team may possibly let them down, but we're not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see. But Sam Powell-Pepper, obviously dangerous tackle, I think it was, and has been sent to tribunal and possibly getting a week. He's been massive for them this season. He racked up 21 touches and 11 contested possessions, which is decent. He's not a major ball winner, but he's a hard ball getter, and that's what they need from him. And he also had 7 tackles as well.
Dreamtime in Darwin, of where it belongs, in my opinion, not at the G, but how'd you see that game?
It was definitely a different game. Obviously not as many people there this year. Usually there's 80 to 90,000 people. But it was a good game. Western were in it in the first half, and then Richmond just showed how good they are in that second half and just killed them, basically.
Irving Mosquito, on debut, he was electric.
Yeah, he was. He definitely made a good impression. Definitely. It's definitely a good sight to see, especially a young Aboriginal talent performing, obviously up in Darwin, Northern Territory, and just dominating it. Obviously, as a Collingwood fan, we come back to Leon Davis, great player. But go ahead. What was your opinion, Dry?
In my opinion, Bombers don't look like they're up with the tempo of the top 8. They obviously brought that tempo against Collingwood at the beginning of the season, but they haven't been able to recapture that since.
Honestly, it was like the first 3-4 weeks of the season, and they declined massively. And I'll tell you when they declined, it's when Dylan Shield got suspended.
Yeah.
When he got suspended, it's like their whole team dropped off.
Yeah. Next game, Freo versus Swans. Freo winning by 5 goals. Swans disappointing after beating Giants by 40 odd.
Yeah, obviously. Not a lot of talking points, but we found a couple. The Swans disappointing after the big win. Obviously, probably the biggest one. But Angus Brayshaw is a star in the making.
Yeah.
Racked up 26 touches, 7 contested possessions, 7 tackles. Usually kicks a goal, but not today. And, just...
You know who else is the star, though? Someone else that I reckon could make All-Australian is Luke Ryan for them in the back half. 26 touches, 12 intercept possessions, 5 marks. He's been pretty good all season.
He's just gone under the radar, though, because he's a Freo, but you kind of understand that. The whole state's basically supports one team up there, and that's West Coast.
Anyway, I think it's time for footy stocks. So if you're new to the show, Footy Stocks is a segment where we basically say something we want to buy stocks in, something we want to sell stocks in, and something we want to hold on to. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now, and I hope you're enjoying it, but let's get into it.
Yeah. Jai, what are you interested in buying first?
I want to buy Dreamtime in Darwin. I reckon it's so much better than Dreamtime at the G, because it's where Aboriginal culture is like really embedded, and it still lives on to this day. And speaking of Dreamtime in Darwin, I also want to buy an Irving Mosquito and Isaac Rankin, and the young talent showing off in the top end. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously 2 Aboriginal players you love to see dominating up in the Northern Territory and Darwin. But that's a great thing. Stocks I'm looking to buy in are Taylor Adams as an underdog round. I don't think he will win it, but I think he'll be top 5, because he's playing really well this season. Obviously had, I think, is it 3 perfect games?
Yeah, he's going to be, I think it was 4 actually. He's going to be our best and fairest.
Yeah, for sure. He's playing the way he usually does in finals, but for a whole season. And that's just been, perfect for us as well. And that's like you were saying, he's obviously had 12, not 12, sorry. He's had 4 games with perfect scores. That's automatically 12 votes.
Yeah, easy. So what are you selling?
I'm selling the GWS's finals hopes. I don't see him doing much. I think go get a good draft pick, because the AFL's just stocked you up on those things. Because they'll have 3 this year for some reason. They always find ways to get new draft picks. And just go rebuild. I think Leon Cameron has to get out of the door. I don't think he's good enough to coach a team like that. He looks better than what he is for the sole fact that he's he's basically coaching the AFL's Ferrari, and that's GWS.
Speaking of coaching, what I'm going to sell is the Suns' coaching decisions. They've sacked, I think, 6 coaching staff. One of them, I was listening to Fox Footy. There was an ex-player that said, Dean Solomon is probably the best coach I've ever played under, right? And they've sacked him. He was on a contract for 2 years. They're going to have to pay him out for at least $500K for the next 2 years. They're basically just wasting money and getting rid of a quality coach. Why that is, I don't know. They've pulled the Corona card, but I think there's more to it.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, Stewie Doo, who had a good start to the season. I don't think he's an amazing coach, but he's all right. He's probably middle of the pack for coaches in the league, I reckon. But 6 coaches being sacked. It's not pretty. Obviously, Andrew Brayshaw, Nick Malcheski, some other names to add to the list. I heard on Fox Footy last night after the Pies game, that they owe $900,000 to coaches that have been sacked.
No, just Nick Malcheski and Dean Solomon, just those two. For the next 2 years, they'll have to pay him out for $900K.
Yeah, I know. It's like it goes up to like $900,000 with those assistant coaches alone, which is just crazy. Because $900,000 can bring in a max player, like a good player. But
Yeah.
what are you looking to hold on to, Jai?
I'm holding on to Mason Cox, obviously first game back in a while. He kicked a goal, pretty easy one. Taylor Adams told all the boys to get around him because he's obviously lacking confidence. However, in the last quarter, he really showed like what he did in 2018. He was bringing the ball to ground, giving quick handballs out to small forwards, running onto goal, tapping it over the back to small forwards, kicking goals. He was a part of our first 3 goals of the fourth quarter. And then obviously...
It's great to see.
Yeah, and obviously he was on the mark in the last quarter against Jai Simpkin and basically just tried to fool Coxie. Coxie wasn't having none of it, put up the big Trump American wall and didn't let him get past.
He nailed him. I was laughing at that because he's a big man as well and Simpkin slipped, fell on his ass.
Yeah. What are you holding?
It's a big call. But Treloar, DeGoey, Howe and Sidebottom are back for the finals for the Pies. That's 4 key players, 2 midfielders, 1 key forward for us because, we like to play a short, small forward line, and a massive backman in. And he's being missed on the half-back line, Jeremy Howe.
My only worry is, as good as they are, when they get back, will they still be able to keep up with finals footy?
Yeah, it's definitely.
Will they be fit enough? Will they be composed enough?
I think Sidebottom can be, obviously, because he's got 1 week. That baby has to be. Dude, Bucks has been saying, DeGoey's the fittest he's ever been, and he's been saying he's the fittest he's ever been in his career, and I think you were saying this to me, but there were rumours of the Pies rushing him to come back this week.
Rushing him to come back in the next month or so of footy.
He's 4 to 6 weeks.
But with a tendon injury, it's not something you really want to.
I'd be resting him for finals. Jeremy Howe, his fitness level, he's starting to run around again, which is really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sidebottom, obviously, I think he'll be fine. Treloar, I think he'll be good because even when he came back from his calf injury, he was still an absolute ball magnet, just an animal.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, that's it for Footy Stocks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas for any more segments, chuck them down below. Hope you're enjoying this segment. We're trying to spice up the show a little bit. So, onto the round reviews or the rest of the games.
Okay, so next game we're going to look at is Adelaide versus Geelong. Honestly, I was really rooting for Adelaide. I would have loved to see them get on the board.
They were in it at 3/4 time, but once again a 3/4 performance.
Another 3/4 performance, which is just sad to see because 3 years ago they were in the grand final. Now they've just dropped off. They're winless. They can't even win a game.
And obviously we all know Cats are genuine contenders. This just showed it even more, getting a hard-fought win. But Shane McAdam for Adelaide, he looks like not only a Charlie Cameron replacement, but a star for the future.
Good. He's looking good. Especially, he's definitely a goal sneak for sure.
Yeah.
But he's doing the right things. He's playing well.
Yeah.
But,
and obviously, Cats getting up by 28 in that one.
Dominating last quarter.
Next game, Brisbane versus Saints. Lions winning by 2 points, holding on in the end when the Saints were bombarding goal and they were defending for their lives. The Lions kicked 6 goals, 14. Inaccurate again, nearly costing them a game. How do they fix it before finals?
They've got to fix it before finals because stuff like this at the start of the season it's all right because it's like, okay, it's just the start of the season. It's just some preseason jitters. And
Been happening for 12 weeks.
It's been happening all round. I'm not all round. All year, sorry. And it's not on, especially, I heard them saying on Fox Footy, the most inaccurate team in the competition.
Yeah.
6
easy.
goals, 14 is dog shit. Literally, the Saints nearly beat them. They were a bee's dick away from beating them.
Yeah.
They were really close. But look at the upside. Jack Steele, All-Australian. Like, definitely looking like an All-Australian midfielder.
Yeah,
We've been
for
saying it
sure.
this whole time. And he led the game with 25 touches and a goal. But listen to this. 17 contested possessions. Yeah. 17 contested possessions.
Yeah, Saints couldn't find a winning goal, though. Like, in the end, I said they were bombarding goal. They were getting smothers, missing shots. They should have easy won it, but in saying that, Brisbane's inaccuracy means they should have won it by more, but...
Yeah, they definitely should have picked out a winner, especially they had, I think, 2 or 3 chances in the final minute just to get a winner, and that definitely would have sealed it. All right. So next game we're going to be looking at is the West Coast versus Giants game.
Yeah, in the end, Giants were lucky to only lose by 12. I think they were down by 28 with like 3 minutes left, and they kicked a couple of quick goals, but...
It was definitely they were definitely lucky to only lose by 12 points. But West Coast had a lot of chances, just didn't capitalise on them. 9 goals, 7. Not the most inaccurate, but if 2, 3 of those points are goals, it's what? 5-goal win? 4-goal win, which is comfortable. But
in the end, it wasn't even an inaccuracy. They just had they just took the foot off the gas for the last 5-10 minutes and let Giants kick 3 or 4.
Another player for the Giants, which looks really promising, Jake Riccardi on debut, 2 goals, 1 and 16 touches. Obviously sad for him to get the loss, but it's still a fair effort from a debutant to come do that, and especially as a key forward as well. 16 touches looks pretty for him.
Yeah, and as always, Nick Nat dominating.
Yeah, I think this season he's been the best ruckman in the competition over Grundy, Max Gawn, Goldstein, all those type of players. He's just his tap work, his running of the ball, just everything about him. He's been dominant this year.
14 touches and a goal.
Yeah, not bad. And it was actually a decent goal as well. It was like he was playing that as a small forward. The ball got tapped down to him, so he picked it up and he just snapped it around the body and it went in. And the commentators went wild.
On to the final game of the round, Collingwood versus Kangas. How'd you see that?
From a Collingwood's point of view, happy to get the win, but from a footy fan's point of view, bit of a boring game, I reckon. Not a lot in it. Very average pressure, sloppy skills. It was just a poor game to watch if you're a footy fan. But we're Pies fans, so we're happy with the result. We'll be biased yet, but
yeah. What wasn't sloppy pressure was Greenwood. His crunching tackle. Obviously on return from that ACL injury, played pretty well.
Which is definitely a good thing to see, and especially getting him back a week before the Carlton game. It's looking good for us as well. I think he'll go on to Paddy Cripps next week for sure.
Yeah, you'd imagine he'd have a pretty big role on Cripps, but
another player that I want to look at is Taylor Adams. He is having an instrumental season. He's playing, I think we said it earlier in the podcast, or we may not have, but he is playing the way he usually does in finals, but all year round. And that is a great sight to see for us, for our point of view. And I think he's our best and fairest this year. Him, Darcy Moore, and Braden Maynard are our top 3 for best and fairest this year, I reckon.
Yeah, and it wasn't only, obviously, Adams. We had 16 players over 10 touches. So only 6 players did it, and they were pretty much the key forwards.
Yeah, and
we had 9 goal scorers, which was a team performance, even though Pendles, Adams, Sidebottom did have good individual games.
all had 80 plus touches, which is pretty crazy. I think it was Taylor Adams had 30 or 31. Pendles had 28, and Sidebottom 23. And I'm pretty sure they all kicked a goal as well. So a great performance from the Pies, which is just a great thing to see. But
yeah, and it was the first time in AFL VFL history that a team had played 5 players over 200 centimetres in Cox, Grundy, Moore, Roughhead and Cameron. For a team that's usually a small forward, bit of a change-up.
Oh, definitely, especially to have 5 players be over 200 centimetres tall. It was definitely a lot taller of a lineup to bring in, but I think it just shows that we can play differently, and I think that's a really good thing for us. It just shows that Buckley did have a backup plan this week, unlike the last couple of weeks where we've just known to play terribly. But I want to look at something that's not a Collingwood thing. I want to look at Jed Anderson and Luke McDonald racking up 30 touches for the Kangaroos, which is very impressive for short and quarters. Too bad they didn't get the win, but they definitely played well, those 2 players.
Especially for McDonald, who had a soft tag on Sidebottom and a little bit on Pendles.
Yeah, he didn't do much. He was more playing his own game, but like if it was down to stoppage in the back line, he'd go down to Pendles or Sidey for to apply that pressure onto them. Yeah. Another player I want to look at, one of my personal favourite players, Braden Maynard. I love him. Him and Dacos this season, for me, have been my 2 favourite players. I like the way Bruzzy goes at it. I think he's an absolute bull. He's a very accurate kick. He can take marks. He racked up 26 touches, and he's an All-Australian this year. Whether he makes a 22-man squad or not, there's no doubt in my mind that he's making the 40-man for All-Australian.
Yeah, and in that first half, when we weren't up and about and we were losing, he was one of the only positives.
Yeah, for sure. And him and Moore, like, to play as well as they are with the loss of Jeremy Howe, it's been very impressive to see how they are playing that well, especially with Moore being such an integral piece in that Collingwood line. Howe, being an integral piece in that lineup.
Yeah, 13 round. What round was it? Yeah, I said round 14, so that's good. But yeah. Oh, really? I've got the same ending for each episode at the moment. Do you want to do